going to stop charging them extravagant amounts of like interest on their loans and stuff. So I was thinking about how he confronted the officials, and I was thinking about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a famous German theologian and German pastor during World War II. And he's known for like writing like The Cost of Discipleship and Letters from Prison. And he was known for standing up against Hitler. He saw that Hitler's ideas and just the religious and the political situation, and it's a messy situation, that whole thing, but he saw the Nazi Party as, being something that needed to be stopped. And so he had a plot to assassinate Hitler, which he ended up being hung for. But the thing is that he knew that this issue needed to be confronted, and he knew he had to do something. Like, he rationalized that, I know that we're not supposed to kill and we're not supposed to do this, but I feel like this is, a greater thing that needs to be done in order for more people to be saved. So a good quote from him, from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, that I really liked was, "We are not to simply bandage the wounds of victims beneath the wheels of injustice. We are to drive a spoke into the wheel itself." And so that's not just simply, just like doing a little bit of effort to kind of keep people, quiet for a little while, but it's really like asking questions and asking, why is this happening, and what can be done, and who do we need to contact, or who do we need to confront to really look at these issues and to get them worked out in the way that it needs to happen. So we've talked a lot about fairness and justice and the importance of community. And so I'm going to suggest now why it's important to have fairness in the community. And you guys might be thinking, oh, well, duh, it's kind of obvious, that we should treat other people nicely and that, we should be fair with other people. But, we see in our world, we see even today, that that's still not happening. We're still, there's still people suffering. There's still people who, are victims of acts of injustice. We're still, things happen that are unfair to us. And so why is it important to have fairness in the community? Why is it important not to take advantage of other people? So I'm going to suggest, because when we do treat people fairly, when we do live in right community with others, we're fulfilling God's purpose for our lives. God made us for community. We see that, just in his creation of man. He wanted to be in relationship with us, and he made man and woman because he wanted us to fellowship with each other, and he didn't want disunity to happen between us. So when we treat other people badly or we take advantage of them, we're not fulfilling God's purpose to live in right community with each other. The second point and why it's important to have fairness in the community, because when we do show that fairness in the community, we are showing obedience to God. God set up laws and boundaries, which I kind of talked about a tiny bit in the passage. The Jews weren't supposed to do this, they weren't supposed to do that, and that was for the benefit of them, for the community, for the whole. And we have the Bible, we have God's word, and we have laws that help us, to learn how to live and to treat people, the way that Jesus sees them. And, he tells us to love God, and he tells us to love our neighbor. And so when we don't treat people right, when we don't show them respect, we're not living in obedience to God, which is what he calls us to do. The third point is we should treat others fairly in the community because it's a sign of honoring God. As human beings, we are like the height of God's creation. We were made in the image of God. And so when we don't respect others, when we take advantage of them, we're dishonoring God's creation. We're saying, your creation, God, it's not really important. It doesn't really have value, but we know that we do have value, that God did design us with value, and he values each of us. So when we don't treat people fairly, we're really devaluing and disrespecting God and what he's done. So this is just some things that we can think about from the story of Nehemiah. And so I'd like to suggest that that we really pay attention and we really try and look for ways to be fair with other people and to really have our hearts and eyes open to injustice in just around our communities and even around the world, and see what can we do and how can we make a difference and how can we God's